Okay, so now that we've got our page set up, we need the blue background. So we're going to go over here to the rectangle tool, and we'll click on that and find our starting point here and drag it to the end. Alrighty, and you can see my edges, my corners are curved. We can change that very easily by just clicking on the curved corners, and now it's actually square. Right up here, let's go ahead and fine tune that and actually put in 1,000, and this was going to be 140. There we go. So we're sure that it's the correct size that we wanted. So I'm one of these guys that likes to save a lot, so we're just going to do File, Save. We'll give this a name. Let's just save this to the desktop, and we'll call this sliding pick animation. Okay. All right, now our next step, if you recall from the notes that I showed you before, is we'll go ahead and click on the selector tool. What we have to do here on this is name this. Remember, we have to name every object, and I can do that by create new names. And so I'm going to click that, and it's called rectangle, or I could just change it and call it background. And there we go. So let's go ahead and display our frames. So utilities, galleries, frame gallery. And there's our, so we can keep track of our frames here. Okay, so let's bring our first object in. And this is going to be our first picture. We'll just drag this in. Another important thing I should have mentioned too, you can't use the actual full-size graphics image. You have to size the image down to what you're going to use in the animation beforehand, or it's not going to work. It's only going to show whatever size of the image that you have sized it here is what it's actually going to show. So very important thing, because I've learned that the hard way as well. So we brought this into our project here, and first thing we got to do is what? Is name it. I always do it the first right away, because take it from me, it's easy to forget to do it. And there we go, and create. And so for now, if we go to utilities, galleries, name gallery, you can see that there's our set. We've got two objects named now, and it's showing that one of these is a bitmap, which is actually JPEG. Okay. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and drag these out of the way a little bit. And now this object here, we can actually place this down here at the timeline. Actually, these things are really in the way here, so let's move these around. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is to put in here, we're going to start each one at 10 pixels for the X and 10 pixels for the Y. Pardon me, this was 25 for the bottom there. There we go. Okay, so and when it first appears, we want it to be transparent, 70%. And so there we go. And so now we've created our first frame. So let's go ahead over here and move over our frame gallery so we can kind of keep tabs of what we're doing. Okay, so next we're going to make a copy of this frame. So copy it. Looks identical to the first frame, doesn't it? Click back over here, first frame, second frame, it's identical. Now we're going to make our changes. So we're going to click on our selection tool, make sure we've got our graphics selected, and then we'll do our transparency, and we're going to slide this back down to 0 so it's fully transparent. And then we do copy again. It looks the same. These two frames look the same, but this time what we're going to do is click on the selection tool, and we want it to appear over here now for the third frame. So if you remember our math from before, I'll bring this back into play, the wall standoff is supposed to be 890 pixels from the left edge of the screen. So we're just going to, in the X coordinates, we'll type in 890, and there we go. Now in this third frame, this is also where we want the next image to appear, which is going to be the lockers. So we'll go ahead and drag this in. And remember what we have to do first time is to name that right away. And then we can go ahead and give its starting coordinates, so 10 for the X and 25 for the Y, and it jumps right into place. And our next thing we have to do is to make it transparent, 70%. And there we go. And so now we're going to copy our frame so it looks the same as number 3. And we're going to do our selection tool, click on it, and transparency, and we're going to slide this out, and then so it's not transparent anymore. Click copy, and hopefully you can guess what comes up next. We're going to change the coordinates on this. So this is going to be 780 pixels right next to that. And before we create our next frame, we're going to bring in our next graphics. And I just realized that the second image that I brought in was in the wrong order, but it doesn't matter for this tutorial. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's see here. We want this one I want to bring in. Okay, so we'll drop it in there, and let's go ahead and name this right away. Alrighty, and X coordinates is 10. Y is 25, and then the next thing we have to do is the transparency, 70. Okay, and then we copy the frame, select the image there, change the transparency to full, no transparency, copy the frame, and then we're going to select our image and move it over in this dimension. Let's see, this is going to be 670 on this one. There we go. And don't forget that before we create our next frame, we have to grab our next graphics, and seeing that I'm already out of order, we're just going to grab anything and drag and drop it here, and we're going to name it right away. Okay. And it's going to be 10 and 25, and transparency is going to be 70. And I think everybody's got the gist now, and we can do our copy frame. And I like to save quite a bit, so we're going to go ahead and save again. If you want to take a look at what we have so far in animations, we'll go ahead and open this up. I have no errors, and everything is working just perfectly. And if you notice, it's looping. So it just keeps, after it runs, it starts over from the beginning. Now the one I had made, I told it not to loop, and that's a real easy setting, so we'll close that. And we can come down here to our frame properties and click that. And where is it here? Animation loop. And so we can turn that off and it won't loop. Now another cool thing we can do here too is, if you notice, all of the frames are set to 0.5 seconds. So that's how long each frame is going to last, and for my needs that was too slow. I can go in and actually change each one of these. If I go back to frame, as I click on each one, I can change it one by one, or I can do a global, go over here and change this like that, and then if you'll watch, I click apply and everything's changed. Now you should, that the best way to do this is when you're all done, and then it'll go through and change all the frames for you. Okay, so I'm going to continue finishing this up, and so I don't bore you with it. You don't need to see me doing all of them, and then we'll come back and do the text boxes along the bottom.